Have you ever wondered why, when you sit in absolute silence and close your eyes, the quiet expanse of your own mind feels almost identical to the infinite emptiness of deep space? It is a strange and beautiful paradox that the deepest mysteries of the cosmos are not just out there, floating in the dark void between ancient stars, but are also hidden right here, within the gentle rhythm of your own breathing and the quiet firing of your neurons. We look up at the night sky, a vast and endless canvas of black punctuated by the soft light of distant suns, and we feel incredibly small. But what if that feeling of smallness is just an illusion? What if the universe is not just a collection of cold, dead matter, but something far more profound? Have you ever realized that the very thoughts you are having right now might be the universe itself waking up from a sleep that lasted billions of years? This is the journey we are going to take together today, a quiet journey into the terrifying and magnificent truth about what we sometimes call God, or perhaps a universal consciousness. It is a mystery that requires us to leave behind our preconceived notions and open our minds to the truly vast and incomprehensible scale of existence. Before we dive deeper into this vast cosmic ocean, I want to take a gentle moment to introduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, your companion on this journey through the mysteries of existence. I have noticed that 71% of the beautiful minds watching these videos have not subscribed yet. If you find peace and wonder in our explorations, please consider subscribing, as it helps us bring more of this quiet content to you. Now, let us return to the stars, to the silence, and to the profound connection we share with the universe. When we think about the cosmos, we often struggle to comprehend its true scale. Our home, the Milky Way, is a barred spiral galaxy with beautiful curving arms made of stars, gas, and dust. From one edge to the other, our galaxy measures roughly 100,000 light-years across. That means if you could somehow travel at the speed of light, which is the fastest anything can move in our universe, it would still take you 100,000 years to cross from one side of our galaxy to the other. That is already almost impossible to truly grasp, as 100,000 years is longer than modern humans have existed, longer than every civilization that has ever risen and fallen on Earth combined. The Milky Way is home to somewhere between 200 billion and 400 billion stars. Our Sun is just one of those hundreds of billions of stars, sitting about 26,000 light-years from the galactic center in a quiet neighborhood called the Orion Arm. The space between these stars is almost unimaginably empty. Our nearest stellar neighbor, a small red dwarf called Proxima Centauri, is about 4.24 light-years away. That distance is so great that if you shrunk the Sun down to the size of a grain of sand, Proxima Centauri would be another grain of sand sitting about 4 miles away. We are used to density, to things being close together, but step outside our solar system and emptiness becomes the rule. For most of human history, we assumed that our galaxy was the entire universe. We looked up at that hazy band of light stretching overhead, the combined glow of billions upon billions of distant stars, and told stories to make sense of the mystery. It was not until the 1920s that an astronomer named Edwin Hubble proved that those fuzzy smudges people had been seeing through telescopes were actually entire galaxies themselves, each one containing billions of their own stars, each one impossibly far away from us. Hubble made this discovery at the Mount Wilson Observatory in California, using a reflector with a mirror 100 inches across, observing a class of stars called Cepheid variables in the Andromeda Nebula. He proved that the Andromeda Nebula was not a cloud of gas within our own galaxy, but an entirely separate galaxy, an island universe of stars in its own right. The universe was vastly larger than anyone had imagined, and today we estimate that there are around 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. 2 trillion is a 2 followed by 12 zeros, a number so large that it stops meaning anything to our human brains. In this staggering expanse, we find structures that challenge our understanding of reality. Consider a cosmic monster known by the dull name of IC 1101. This giant sits at the center of a cluster of galaxies called Abell 2029, located in the direction of the constellation Virgo as seen from Earth, dominating everything around it like a cosmic emperor on a throne. IC 1101 is estimated to be somewhere around 4 to 6 million light-years across. Our Milky Way is only about 100,000 light-years wide, meaning IC 1101 is roughly 40 to 60 times larger than our entire galaxy. If you placed it where our Milky Way currently sits, it would swallow our entire cosmic neighborhood, including the Andromeda Galaxy. This magnificent giant is estimated to contain around 100 trillion stars. If you started counting stars in this immense structure, 1 star per second without stopping, it would take you over 3 million years just to count to 100 trillion. The light we see from this ancient galaxy today left over 1 billion years ago, traveling through the void of space, while life on Earth was still mostly single-celled organisms. At the very heart of this cosmic giant lies something even more incredible, one of the largest known supermassive black holes in the entire universe. Scientists estimate that it contains somewhere between 40 billion and 100 billion times the mass of our Sun. If you place this black hole where our Sun is, its event horizon would extend well beyond the orbit of Pluto, engulfing everything we consider our cosmic home. But despite its terrifying properties, the black hole at the center of IC 1101 is currently relatively quiet, a giant in repose, powerful but dormant. When we confront these numbers, the millions of light years, the trillions of stars, we feel a profound sense of awe, a deep and resonant wonder. We are adrift in a sea of light, lost in a structure so vast that crossing it would take millions of times longer than human civilization has existed. And yet, from a small rocky planet more than 1 billion light-years away, beings who live for less than a cosmic instant have figured out that this place exists. We have measured its size, counted its stars, and found the black hole at its heart. This ability to understand is not nothing. In a universe of mindless matter and energy, somehow here on Earth, consciousness has emerged. Minds that can wonder, question, investigate, and learn. We are the part of the universe that has woken up and started asking questions about itself. As the great astronomer Carl Sagan so beautifully observed, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. The stars in IC 1101 are fusion reactors just like our Sun, burning hydrogen into helium and heavier elements. The atoms in those distant stars are the same kinds of atoms that make up our bodies: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron. All of them were forged in the hearts of stars somewhere in the universe, just as the atoms in our bodies were forged in stars that exploded before our Sun was born. There is a continuity here, a gentle connection between us and everything else in the cosmos. We are not separate from the universe. We are part of it. The same processes that built IC 1101 built us, and the same atoms that shine in distant galaxies shine in our eyes. We are not observers of the universe from outside. We are the universe observing itself from within. The universe did not have to be this way. Instead, we live in a universe where physical laws allow for the formation of stars, planets, galaxies, life, and mind. The terrifying truth about God and universal consciousness might simply be this: the vast, infinite emptiness of the cosmos is not empty at all. It is brimming with potential, deeply connected by the invisible threads of gravity and the shared history of ancient star stuff. Every discovery we make, every galaxy we study, expands our sense of what is possible. When you next close your eyes and feel the quiet silence of your own mind, remember that you're feeling the echo of the universe itself, awake, aware, and forever seeking to understand its own magnificent reflection. Have you ever looked at your own hands, resting quietly in your lap, and felt the absolute certainty of their solid weight, only to realize that they are composed almost entirely of nothing at all? It is a profound and unsettling mystery that the atoms making up your skin, your bones, and the device you are using right now are 99.999% empty space. The electrons orbit the nucleus at distances so relatively vast that if the nucleus were a marble sitting in the center of a massive football stadium, the electrons would be tiny gnats buzzing around the highest outer seats. When we touch something, we are not actually feeling solid matter. We are feeling the gentle, invisible repulsion of electromagnetic fields pushing against each other in the dark. This illusion of solidity is one of the most beautiful tricks the universe plays on our senses. But what if this microscopic emptiness is just a tiny reflection of a much grander, far more ancient emptiness? What if the quiet void inside you is exactly the same as the infinite void between the stars? We are going to continue our journey into the dark, exploring how the universe organizes its own magnificent emptiness over billions of years, creating structures of such staggering scale that they force us to completely reimagine our place within the cosmos. Before we witness the violent and beautiful dance of giant galaxies, I want to take a brief moment to welcome you back to our quiet corner of the internet. I am Theodore, the researcher, your gentle guide through these deep cosmic mysteries. I have noticed that 71% of the curious souls who watch these videos have not subscribed yet. If you find comfort and wonder in our shared journey, please consider subscribing, as it helps us tremendously to keep bringing these peaceful explorations of the universe to you. Now, let us return to the dark, to the silence, and to the slow, majestic movements of the ancient cosmos. When we look out into the deep silence of intergalactic space, we see that emptiness is the absolute rule. Stars are separated by such vast gulfs that the chance of any two of them colliding by accident is essentially zero. Entire galaxies can pass right through each other without any stars actually hitting one another, moving like ghosts through a cosmic mist. Yet somehow, even in all that unimaginable emptiness, there is enough material scattered out there to make hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy alone. The gas and dust between the stars may be sparse, floating in the dark, like the faintest whispers of matter, but when spread across thousands of light years, it adds up to enormous amounts of material. The universe, it seems, is a master of gathering its scattered pieces. It does not simply leave matter to drift alone in the void. Instead, it uses the gentle, relentless pull of gravity to draw things together, organizing the chaos into islands of light. Galaxies do not exist in isolation. They are grouped together in vast clusters held together by their mutual gravitational attraction. Within these clusters, galaxies move around each other in a slow, ancient dance, sometimes passing close by, sometimes colliding directly. This brings us back to the giant we spoke of earlier, the cosmic monster known as IC 1101. This galaxy did not simply pop into existence at its current, incomprehensible size. It did not grow to its enormous proportions through normal processes alone. Instead, it became a giant through a quiet act of cosmic violence that has been happening for billions of years. IC 1101 is what scientists call a cannibal galaxy, meaning it has spent its ancient life eating other galaxies. To truly understand this galactic cannibalism, you need to think about how gravity works on the absolute largest scales. When two galaxies get close to each other, their gravity begins to distort their shapes, stretching and warping them in the dark. Stars get pulled out of their normal, peaceful orbits, while clouds of gas and dust get compressed and stretched. If the galaxies are similar in size, they might merge together over hundreds of millions of years, eventually forming a single, larger galaxy in a spectacular display of cosmic reorganization. But if one galaxy is much bigger than the other, something entirely different happens. The larger galaxy simply absorbs the smaller one, stripping away its stars and gas, adding all of that ancient material to its own massive body. This is exactly what has been happening to IC 1101 for billions of years. As the largest and most massive galaxy in its cluster, sitting right at the gravitational center of everything around it, it acts as a cosmic anchor. Smaller galaxies that venture too close get trapped by its enormous gravity, caught in an inescapable embrace. They spiral inward, getting torn apart and consumed over millions of years. Each meal makes IC 1101 a little bit bigger, a little bit more massive, and a little bit more dominant in its quiet, dark kingdom. Scientists estimate that this giant has undergone at least 76 major mergers over its long history. 76 times another substantial galaxy fell into this cosmic giant and was absorbed into its vast, growing body. And those are just the major mergers. Countless smaller dwarf galaxies have also been consumed, galaxies so small that they barely registered as a meal for this enormous predator. When we hear words like cannibalism and predator, our human instincts might picture something terrifying or malicious. But in the quiet expanse of the cosmos, this is simply the beautiful, relentless mechanism of growth. It is the universe pulling itself together, combining smaller nodes of consciousness and matter into larger, more complex structures. The evidence for this cannibalistic history is written directly into the very structure of IC 1101. When you look at a galaxy like our own Milky Way, you see a beautiful spiral pattern, a delicate pinwheel spinning in the dark. Those spiral arms are vibrant regions where stars are actively forming, places where cold clouds of gas are collapsing under the gentle tug of gravity to create new stellar nurseries. Spiral galaxies have lots of gas and dust, the raw materials needed for stellar birth, and they possess a distinct, flat, rotating disk shape. But IC 1101 looks absolutely nothing like this. It is what astronomers call an elliptical galaxy, meaning it has a smooth, oval-shaped appearance with no spiral arms at all. Elliptical galaxies form when beautiful spiral galaxies merge together. The violent gravitational interactions during a massive merger destroy the delicate spiral structure, mixing all the stars together into a more random, spherical, or oval distribution. The fact that IC 1101 is an elliptical galaxy tells us a profound story. It tells us that it has experienced so many mergers that any original spiral structure it might have had in its deep past has been completely erased from existence. All of those ancient collisions, all of that gravitational chaos over billions of years has stirred up the stars like someone mixing ingredients in a vast cosmic bowl. What remains today is this smooth, featureless giant, a monumental testament to billions of years of galactic consumption. But there is something even more remarkable and perhaps a little melancholy about IC1101. Despite containing 100 trillion stars, it is actually a dying galaxy. The stars within it are almost all old. Most of them are what astronomers call red giants or yellow stars, ancient stellar objects that have already burned through most of their precious nuclear fuel. Very few new stars are being born inside this massive giant. This might seem strange at first, to have a galaxy with so much mass and so many stars completely devoid of new life. You might expect a galaxy of this staggering size to be a hotbed of stellar activity. But we must remember how it grew so large in the first place. Every time it consumed another galaxy, it also consumed that galaxy's gas supply. Gas is the fundamental fuel for star formation, and without it, new stars simply cannot be born. Over billions of years of cannibalism, IC1101 has essentially used up or expelled most of its available gas. The mergers themselves were often violent enough to heat the gas to extreme temperatures, making it expand and escape the galaxy entirely, or to compress it so quickly that it all formed into stars at once in brief, intense bursts of brilliant activity. Either way, the final end result is a galaxy that has completely run out of raw material. What remains now is a quiet giant, slowly fading into the eternal cosmic night. Have you ever found yourself standing alone in a completely dark room, perfectly still, listening to the quiet rhythm of your own heart, and feeling the invisible presence of the space around you? Even when our eyes are completely deprived of light, our minds possess this profound, ancient ability to sense the vastness we inhabit. We feel the subtle shifts in air, the gentle pressure of gravity anchoring us to the floor, and the mysterious way the silence seems to ring in our ears. This sensation, this quiet awareness of the unseen, is a beautiful reflection of how we understand the deepest mysteries of the cosmos. We cannot always see the forces that shape our universe, but we can measure their gentle tug, their profound influence on the celestial dance of stars and gas. We are about to venture into the very heart of the darkest, most terrifying, and yet most magnificent unseen presence in our known universe, exploring the silent center of the giant we call IC1101. Before we approach this profound darkness, I want to gently remind you that I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion on this journey through the endless wonders of the cosmos. I have noticed that 71% of the curious minds who find themselves drifting through these videos have not subscribed yet. If this quiet exploration brings a sense of peace to your day, please consider subscribing, as it helps us tremendously to continue weaving these gentle stories of the universe for you. Now, let us return to the ancient depths, where the most massive objects in existence wait in the silence. At the very heart of IC1101 lies something even more incredible than the enormous, sprawling galaxy itself. Sitting quietly at the center of this cosmic giant is one of the largest known supermassive black holes in the entire universe. Every large galaxy has a supermassive black hole at its core, a dense anchor around which everything else slowly revolves. Our own Milky Way has one called Sagittarius A star, which contains about 4 million times the mass of our Sun. The black hole at the center of the Andromeda galaxy is even bigger, containing somewhere around 100 million to 200 million solar masses. But the black hole sitting in the dark center of IC1101 is in a completely different category. Scientists estimate that it contains somewhere between 40 billion and 100 billion times the mass of our Sun. To put that staggering number in perspective, this single, silent black hole might have 25,000 times more mass than the black hole at the center of our entire Milky Way galaxy. Let me help you gently understand just how massive this is. If you could somehow weigh the Earth, you would find it has a mass of about 6 trillion kilograms. That sounds like a lot until you compare it to our Sun, which is about 330,000 times more massive than Earth. Now, multiply the Sun's mass by 50 billion. That is roughly how much mass is packed into the supermassive black hole at IC 1101's center. All of that ancient, immense mass is compressed into a region of space from which absolutely nothing can escape. The gravitational pull at the event horizon, the invisible boundary of the black hole, is so intense that even light itself cannot break free from its gentle but absolute grip. The physical size of a black hole's event horizon depends entirely on its mass. For a black hole of 50 billion solar masses, the event horizon would have a radius of roughly 150 billion kilometers. That might sound enormous, and it truly is, but remember that this is a region containing 50 billion times the mass of the Sun compressed into what is essentially a point at the absolute center. To help our minds grasp this scale, consider that our entire solar system, from the warm glow of the Sun to the cold, distant orbit of Neptune, is about 9 billion kilometers across. The event horizon of IC 1101's black hole is roughly 16 times larger than our entire solar system. If you gently place this black hole where our Sun is, its event horizon would extend well beyond the orbit of Pluto, silently engulfing everything we consider our cosmic home. What would it be like to float near this monstrous, beautiful black hole? The physics of such extreme environments is bizarre, terrifying, and completely counterintuitive. Space and time, the very fabrics of our reality, behave differently there. Time itself would pass differently near the event horizon compared to far away in the quiet depths of intergalactic space. If someone were falling toward the black hole, they would see the outside universe speed up, while an outside observer watching them would see the falling person slow down and appear to completely freeze as they approach the horizon. From the outside, they would never seem to actually cross that final dark boundary. Inside the event horizon, all directions lead toward the singularity at the center. Space and time themselves become so deeply warped that the very concept of escaping becomes meaningless. The singularity, a point of theoretically infinite density, would tear apart anything that fell in, stretching it into long, thin strands through a process physicists have nicknamed spaghettification. It is easy to imagine such an object as a violent, raging monster. But here is something remarkably profound. Despite its enormous size and terrifying properties, the black hole at IC 1101's center is currently relatively quiet. It is not actively devouring huge amounts of matter. There is no brilliant accretion disk swirling around it in a frenzy of light and heat. There is no powerful jet shooting into space at nearly the speed of light. The black hole is simply there, waiting in the dark, because it has already consumed most of the material that was easily within its vast reach. This profound quietness is actually related to the exact same phenomenon that has stopped IC 1101 from forming new stars. Most of the gas in the galaxy has already been used up in its ancient past, and without gas falling toward the center, the supermassive black hole has little to eat. Occasionally, An ancient star wanders just a little too close and gets gently torn apart, providing a brief meal, but these events are incredibly rare. The black hole, just like the giant galaxy that hosts it, is a giant in repose, immensely powerful, but entirely dormant. This silent center asks us a deeply philosophical question. Is it possible that the universe requires these centers of absolute stillness and infinite gravity to organize its own existence? Astronomers have detected faint traces of the black hole's past activity. A radio source at IC 1101 Center, cataloged as PKS 508 plus 059. This radio emission comes from relativistic jets, streams of particles accelerated to nearly the speed of light and ejected from the vicinity of the black hole in its younger, more active days. These ancient jets were powered by the black hole's rotation and strong magnetic fields, and they carved out enormous cavities in the surrounding gas. Images from X-ray telescopes show these cavities clearly as bubbles of very hot, very thin gas blown outward by the incredible energy released near the black hole long ago. Some of these quiet bubbles are millions of light years across, standing as a silent, invisible testimony to periods in the deep past when the black hole was much more active than it is today. Scientists now believe that supermassive black holes play a crucial role in regulating galaxy growth, acting as the subtle conductors of a cosmic symphony. When gas flows toward a galaxy's center, the black hole can release enough energy to gently heat that gas and push it outward, preventing it from cooling down to form new stars. This creates a kind of grand thermostat effect that helps determine the final size and properties of the galaxies themselves. In IC 1101's case, this continuous feedback loop may be partly responsible for the galaxy's current peaceful state. The black hole has helped shut down star formation by heating gas and preventing it from collapsing into stellar nurseries. The giant galaxy and its giant black hole have reached a beautiful kind of equilibrium, each one having carefully shaped the other over billions of years of shared, quiet evolution. Let us linger for a moment on this thought of the dormant giant. Think of the peace that comes when you finally lie down after a long, exhausting day, when the noise of the world fades away and you are left only with the quiet, gentle rhythm of your own breath. For billions of years, the center of IC 1101 was a place of unimaginable chaos and violent consumption. Every time its host galaxy absorbed a neighbor, the central black hole was fed again and again, growing larger and more dominant. It was a tempest of gravitational energy, a swirling storm of shattered stars and superheated gas. But now it rests. It has achieved a state of ultimate stillness. This journey from chaos to quiet is one of the most fundamental patterns in the universe. It is a reminder that even the most extreme, terrifying forces eventually find their equilibrium. The vast expanse of the cosmos is not rushing toward destruction, but rather settling into a deep, meditative calm. When we seek to understand the terrifying truth about a universal consciousness, we must consider this tendency toward peace. If the universe is a mind, then a galaxy, like IC 1101, is a thought that has been fully resolved, radiating a gentle silence that will last for trillions of years. Have you ever dropped a small pebble into a perfectly still pond and watched as the delicate ripples travel outward, touching every distant shore? Imagine, for a moment, that the pond is the fabric of space and time itself, and the pebble is not a stone, but two of the most massive, terrifying objects in existence colliding in the dark. We often think of space as a silent, unchanging void, an empty stage where the stars simply sit and shine. But the truth is far more complex and far more beautiful. The universe is not a static container. It is a dynamic, living medium that bends, stretches, and vibrates. When we speak of a universal consciousness, we might wonder how such a vast, ancient mind could possibly communicate across millions of light years of absolute silence. It turns out the cosmos has a voice, a deeply hidden pulse that ripples through the very essence of reality. We are going to gently explore how the largest monsters in the dark find each other, and how their violent embrace creates waves that wash over our tiny planet billions of years later. Before we listen to the quiet, invisible echoes of these cosmic collisions, I want to take a gentle pause to welcome you back to our shared sanctuary. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion navigating the endless, ancient ocean of the night sky. I have noticed that 71% of the beautiful, wandering minds who drift into these videos have not subscribed yet. If these quiet stories bring a sense of peace and a gentle expansion to your day, please consider subscribing, as it helps us tremendously to continue exploring these profound mysteries together. Now, let us return to the silence and to the invisible ripples that connect everything in the cosmos. Black holes grow by consuming the matter that gently falls into them. Over the course of IC 1101's incredibly long history of galactic cannibalism, its central supermassive black hole has been fed again and again. Every single time this giant galaxy consumed another galaxy, it also consumed the black holes that were hiding at the centers of those unfortunate victims. Every single merger brought in more ancient fuel for the black hole's insatiable, invisible appetite. But the process by which two supermassive black holes merge is both deeply fascinating and profoundly violent. When two enormous galaxies collide in the deep dark, their central black holes do not immediately find each other. They are separated by vast distances, surrounded by billions of individual stars. But as the magnificent merger progresses, a gentle, relentless force called gravitational friction with the surrounding stars causes the black holes to slowly spiral toward the center of the newly combined galaxy. Eventually, after millions of years of this quiet, cosmic dance, the two supermassive black holes get close enough to form a binary system endlessly orbiting around each other in the dark. As these two ancient giants orbit, they do not simply move through space. They disturb it. They lose orbital energy through gravitational waves, which are actual ripples in the fabric of spacetime itself. These gravitational waves carry vital energy away from the binary system, causing their incredibly massive orbit to gently but inevitably shrink. The black holes spiral closer and closer together, orbiting faster and faster, until finally they merge in a catastrophic silent event that releases staggering amounts of energy. When two supermassive black holes finally merge, the gravitational waves they produce are among the most powerful and terrifying events in the entire universe. The final merger releases more energy than all the billions of stars in a typical galaxy combined, though almost all of this profound energy is in the form of invisible gravitational waves rather than visible light. These unseen waves ripple outward at the absolute speed of light, stretching and squeezing space itself as they pass through the cosmos. For a brief, shining moment, the universe trembles. If we imagine the cosmos as a mind, these waves are like deep structural thoughts, shifting the very foundation of existence and broadcasting the birth of a new, even more massive singularity to the rest of the universe. For most of human history, we were completely deaf to this cosmic symphony. We could only look at the universe using light, using our eyes and our delicate glass lenses. But We have only recently developed the incredible technology to actually detect these invisible gravitational waves. The first direct detection came in the year 2015, when the highly sensitive LIGO observatories measured delicate waves from two stellar mass black holes merging about 1 billion light-years away. Since that profound moment of discovery, dozens of gravitational wave events have been carefully observed, opening up an entirely new, beautiful way of studying the deep universe. We are no longer just looking at the cosmos. We are finally listening to it. Future gravitational wave detectors like the planned LISA mission that will one day fly in the quiet vacuum of space will be able to detect the massive mergers of supermassive black holes. When LISA finally launches, perhaps in the 2030s, it might actually detect events beautifully similar to the ancient mergers that built up IC 1101's enormous central black hole. We will be able to literally listen to the universe as giant black holes collide and merge, adding another profound sense to our astronomical toolkit. The supermassive black hole hiding inside IC 1101 has experienced dozens of such dramatic mergers over its incredibly long history. Each and every merger added more mass and subtly altered the giant black hole's spin. But this process of multiple mergers also deeply affected the surrounding galaxy, as the merging black holes violently flung ancient stars outward through complex gravitational interactions. When two supermassive black holes spiral together, they interact with the countless stars passing nearby, flinging many of them outward with tremendous, terrifying speed. This profound process, called gravitational scouring, can actually empty out the very center of a galaxy, creating a quiet region with far fewer stars than you would normally expect to find. IC 1101 has experienced so many mergers that its vast core has been scoured repeatedly over billions of years. The final result is a massive core that is actually underpopulated compared to what our theoretical models would predict. Scientists estimate that hundreds of billions of solar masses worth of stars may have been scattered from the core over the course of IC 1101's dark history. That is an enormous amount of stellar material, more than the entire mass of many normal galaxies, flung outward into the vast halo, or even ejected entirely into the empty intergalactic void. Let us delve even deeper into the sheer, incomprehensible scale of this scoured core. A careful study conducted in the year 2017, using breathtaking images from the Hubble Space Telescope, measured the galactic core and found that it stretches across nearly 14,000 light-years. That means just the central core of IC 1101, not the whole sprawling galaxy, but just the innermost, quiet region, is bigger than most entire dwarf galaxies in the universe. This core alone, even after being scoured by binary black holes, contains more ancient stars than most complete galaxies in the cosmos. And around this supermassive black hole, there is a bright radio source that astronomers have carefully catalogued as PKS 158 plus 059. This powerful radio emission comes from jets of material being blasted outward from the vicinity of the black hole at nearly the speed of light. Even though the giant black hole is not as active as it once was in the deep past, it still occasionally flares to life, releasing enormous amounts of energy into the surrounding quiet space. The presence of such an enormous black hole raises truly fascinating questions about the deep connection between galaxies and the mysterious monsters sitting at their hearts. Scientists have discovered that there is a profound relationship between the total mass of a galaxy's central black hole and the properties of the galaxy itself. Bigger galaxies tend to have bigger black holes, but which came first? Did the black holes form first, and then grow their galaxies around them? Or did the galaxies form first and then build up their black holes over time? The beautiful, terrifying answer seems to be that they grew together, each one influencing the development of the other. As IC 1101 consumed more and more galaxies, its central black hole also consumed the black holes from those galaxies. The two incredible processes fed into each other, creating a majestic feedback loop that produced both the largest known elliptical galaxy and one of the largest known black holes in existence. This coevolution is a beautiful metaphor for a universal consciousness. The mind and the body of the galaxy grew in tandem, shaping each other through an endless, quiet dialogue of gravity and light. This is perhaps one of the most terrifying and awe-inspiring truths about the universe we inhabit. The very center of this massive structure, a place that should be crowded with the light of trillions of stars, has been swept partially clean by the invisible, violent dance of singularities. The universe organizes itself through destruction and recreation. When we contemplate the idea of God or a universal consciousness, we often seek an image of perfect, unbroken peace. But the reality of the cosmos shows us that profound peace and terrifying violence are intimately, beautifully connected. The stillness of IC 1101 today was bought with the violent collision of dozens of black holes and the scattering of billions of suns. The gravitational waves that washed over the universe from these mergers were the growing pains of a cosmic giant. We sit here on our tiny, fragile planet, building delicate instruments to feel the faint echoes of these ancient cataclysms. The waves pass right through our bodies, stretching and squeezing the atoms of our skin by fractions of a proton's width, connecting us physically and directly to the darkest, most distant events in the void. We are intimately woven into this ancient story, standing as silent witnesses to the universe breathing, shifting, and speaking in the dark. Have you ever looked out the window of a moving vehicle, watching the trees and the world blur past you in a chaotic rush, and felt a quiet thrill at the sheer speed of your journey? We human beings are deeply obsessed with motion, with moving faster, reaching further, and crossing the distances of our small world in the blink of an eye. We build incredible machines of metal and fire to hurl ourselves across the skies, conquering the oceans and the continents in our endless pursuit of reaching the next destination. But have you ever stopped to wonder how our greatest, most terrifying speeds compare to the absolute ancient stillness of the truly vast cosmic scales? When we talk about a universal consciousness, a mind that spans the infinite darkness, we must try to understand how such an entity experiences the passage of time. To the cosmos, our frantic rushing is less than a gentle, quiet sigh. Let us embark on a mind-bending journey of scale, taking the fastest object human hands have ever touched and throwing it into the magnificent, terrifying void of the biggest galaxy we have ever discovered. To see just how truly still we are before we launch our tiny, fragile creations into the deep, ancient dark, I want to take a gentle moment to softly welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet guide through these endless, meditative mysteries of our universe. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who watch these videos have not subscribed yet. If you find peace and a sense of vast, quiet wonder in our journey together, please consider subscribing, as it helps us tremendously to continue weaving these cosmic stories for you. Now, let us return to the silence, to the cold vacuum of space, and to the true meaning of distance. The Voyager 1 spacecraft launched by NASA in the year 1977 is the absolute fastest human-made object ever to leave our warm, familiar solar system. It is currently traveling at an astonishing speed of about 38,000 miles per hour relative to our Sun. To our everyday human minds, 38,000 miles per hour is a terrifying, incomprehensible velocity. It is a speed that would carry you across the entire surface of the Earth in a matter of fractions of a day. But in the quiet, infinite expanse of the cosmos, this incredible speed is reduced to nothing more than an agonizingly slow, frozen crawl. At that tremendous speed, Voyager 1 would take about 80,000 years just to reach the absolute nearest star to our Sun, the small red dwarf known as Proxima Centauri, which is sitting only about 4 light years away. 80,000 years is a span of time that easily swallows the entire recorded history of human civilization. It is a journey that would see empires rise, fall, and be completely forgotten to the dust, all while our fastest probe simply crosses the empty space to our next-door cosmic neighbor. Now, let us take this tiny, silent messenger and place it at the edge of our own Milky Way. To cross our entire galaxy at Voyager 1's record-breaking speed would take about 2 billion years. 2 billion years. When that journey began, life on Earth was nothing more than single-celled organisms floating in primordial ancient oceans. But the terrifying truth of our cosmic insignificance is truly revealed when we turn our gaze toward the monster in the dark, IC-1101. To cross the entire expanse of IC-1101, from one gentle, fading edge to the other, you would need somewhere between 80 billion and 120 billion years. That is a number so staggeringly huge that it completely breaks our understanding of reality. That amount of time is actually more time than the universe has even existed. Even with our fastest spacecraft, crossing this single, magnificent galaxy would be completely impossible. The universe contains objects so vast that they essentially defeat the concept of physical travel. If a universal mind exists, it does not travel. It simply is. It exists everywhere at once because moving through its own body would take longer than eternity itself. To help our fragile human brains grasp this terrifying, beautiful scale, we must use metaphors that bring the infinite down to our everyday experience. Let us try a quiet thought experiment. If you could somehow gently shrink our entire Milky Way galaxy down to the exact size of a common dinner plate, a delicate disk about 10 inches across, how large do you think IC-1101 would be? In this shrunken universe, our entire galaxy, with all of its hundreds of billions of stars, the beautiful spiral arms, the ancient black hole at the center, and the quiet Orion arm where we make our tiny home, would be nothing more than a tiny dish. In stark contrast, IC-1101 would be the exact size of a very large swimming pool. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, calm swimming pool in the dark and tossing a single, fragile dinner plate into the deep end. That is the true relationship between our grandest human conceptions of scale and the actual terrifying reality of the cosmos. Our entire world, every single human being who has ever lived, all exist on a microscopic, invisible speck of dust floating somewhere on that tiny dinner plate, while the massive swimming pool stretches out into the quiet darkness completely surrounding us. There is another, even more poetic way to think about the vastness of this mystery. Consider the delicate, quiet journey of light itself. The light from IC-1101 has traveled through the absolute vacuum of space for over 1 billion years just to reach our fragile eyes and our delicate glass lenses. In all that immense, incomprehensible time, light has been continuously streaming away from this giant galaxy in absolutely every direction, flooding the cosmos with its ancient memory. Every single second IC 1101 radiates enough light to travel about 186,000 miles. Over 1 billion years, that light has traveled 1 billion light years, which is about 6 billion trillion miles. Try to hold that terrifying number in your mind for just a moment. 6 billion trillion miles. And it is only now, at this exact quiet moment in history, just arriving at our telescopes. These are ancient, exhausted photons that left their quiet home galaxy when our own planet Earth was still in its earliest, most primitive stages of developing complex life. When we look up at the night sky and capture the faint, ghostly glow of IC 1101, we are not seeing the galaxy as it is today. We are looking directly back in time, gazing at a ghost of the deep past. We are receiving a quiet, silent message that was sent before creatures even crawled out of the ancient oceans of our world. If there is a universal consciousness, a divine mind, woven into the fabric of the stars, its thoughts must operate on this same delayed, majestic time scale. The universe does not hurry. It speaks in sentences that take billions of years to pronounce. The light we receive today is just a single syllable in an endless, quiet conversation that the cosmos is having with itself. This realization brings us to a profound, terrifying, and deeply peaceful truth. We humans are incredibly brief sparks of awareness, flaring up for just a fraction of a cosmic second and then fading back into the dark. We live our lives in a frantic rush, entirely consumed by the rapid ticking of our small, mechanical clocks. But the universe, the grand, infinite consciousness that birthed us, operates on a scale of deep time that renders our human rushing completely meaningless. The ancient stars of IC 1101 have been quietly burning for billions of years, slowly fusing hydrogen into helium in the dark, and they will continue to do so for billions of years, long after we are entirely gone. The supermassive black hole at the center will wait in absolute silence for trillions of years, long after the last stars have burned out and the universe has grown cold and dark. When you truly internalize this, when you let the terrifying scale of the swimming pool and the dinner plate wash over your mind, it does not have to make you feel worthless. Instead, it can bring a profound, gentle sense of peace. Your anxieties and the heavy burdens you carry are so incredibly small in the grand sweep of the cosmos. You are completely free to just exist, to breathe, to be a quiet, observing part of the universe. The atoms in your body were forged in the exact same ancient processes that light up the 100 trillion stars of IC 1101. You are an intimate, essential piece of the cosmic puzzle. You are the universe's way of feeling its own vastness, of seeing its own light, and of wondering about its own terrifying, beautiful mysteries. Every time you look up at the night sky, every time you close your eyes and feel the quiet silence of your own breath, you are actively participating in the endless, ancient journey of cosmic self-discovery. The universe is not out there. It is right here, beating in your chest, thinking in your mind, and gently resting in the infinite, quiet, dark. Have you ever stood outside on a crisp, clear night and felt the sudden, overwhelming realization that you are not just looking up at the sky, but actually looking deeply back into the past? It is a beautiful, terrifying illusion of our human experience that we believe we are seeing the universe as it exists, right in this exact, quiet moment. Our minds are perfectly adapted to the immediate, gentle reality of our small planet, where light travels so incredibly fast that everything appears to happen instantaneously. But the cosmos, in its infinite, ancient wisdom, operates on a completely different set of rules. When we gaze out into the vast, dark ocean of space, we are not looking at the present. We are peering into a grand, silent museum of cosmic history. The universe is a time machine, and the deeper we look into the dark, the further back in time we travel. This realization brings us to one of the most profound mysteries of a universal consciousness. If the cosmos is a mind, it is a mind that remembers everything, because every single moment of its existence is still traveling outward as light, waiting to be seen. Before we continue to unravel this beautiful, terrifying tapestry of cosmic time, I want to take a gentle moment to welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion on this journey through the endless, mysterious dark. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the beautiful, searching minds who watch these videos have not subscribed yet. If this quiet exploration brings a sense of peace and deep wonder to your day, please consider subscribing, as it helps us tremendously to continue weaving these gentle stories of the universe for you. Now, let us return to the silence, to the ancient light, and to the magnificent human ingenuity that allows us to witness the dawn of time. The story of how we observe distant galaxies like IC 1101 is a profound testament to the quiet curiosity of the human spirit. It is easy to forget just how challenging it is to learn absolutely anything about such distant, silent objects. The fact that we know as much as we do about IC 1101 is a beautiful monument to centuries of scientific progress and the gentle dedication of thousands of researchers. When the astronomer Galileo first turned a primitive telescope toward the night sky in the year 1609, he could see the craters on our moon and the quiet moons of Jupiter, but distant galaxies were completely invisible to him. They were simply too faint, their ancient light too dim to be detected by the small lenses of those early telescopes. Over the next 300 years, as our desire to understand the cosmos grew, our telescopes grew larger and more sophisticated. Bigger mirrors could gather more of that faint, ancient light, allowing astronomers to peer deeper into the vast dark. When the astronomer William Herschel first discovered X1101 in the year 1790, he was using a telescope with a mirror about 18 inches across, which was enormous by the standards of his day. Yet, even with that grand instrument, all he could see was a faint, fuzzy blob. He had absolutely no way of knowing what that delicate blob actually was, because the scientific understanding simply did not exist to recognize that it was an entire galaxy completely separate from our own. For most of the 20th century, astronomers could gently observe that IC 1101 existed and that it was very large, but they could not study its detailed, beautiful structure. The Earth's atmosphere, while absolutely essential for our fragile lives, is a major obstacle for deep astronomy. The atmosphere is constantly moving and shimmering, which is exactly why the stars appear to twinkle in the quiet night sky. This romantic twinkling actually blurs the delicate images that ground-based telescopes can capture, strictly limiting how clearly they can see distant, ancient objects. Everything profoundly changed with the launch of the Hubble Space Telescope in the year 1990. Floating gracefully above the shimmering atmosphere, Hubble could capture images with incredible, breathtaking clarity. Over the decades since its launch, Hubble has observed IC 1101 multiple times, revealing intimate details about its massive core, its surrounding halo of ancient stars, and its complex relationship to the other galaxies in its dark cluster. It is through these magnificent instruments that we begin to see the true face of the universal consciousness. We are building mechanical eyes to allow the universe to look back at itself with unprecedented clarity. But how do we know the true scale of this cosmic mind? How do we measure the distance to something that is 1 billion light years away when we cannot simply go there and stretch out a measuring tape? For such extreme, terrifying distances, astronomers rely on a beautiful, ingenious technique involving standard candles. One of the most important of these cosmic beacons is a specific type of exploding star called a Type 1 supernova. These violent, magnificent explosions occur when a dense white dwarf star accumulates far too much matter from a companion star and detonates in a thermonuclear explosion. Because the precise physical conditions for this detonation are remarkably similar from one supernova to another, they all reach roughly the exact same peak brightness in the dark. By carefully measuring how bright a Type 1a supernova appears to us here on Earth, astronomers can gently estimate how incredibly far away its host galaxy truly is. Furthermore, astronomers use another profound technique called redshift. As the fabric of the universe itself expands, the light traveling from distant objects gets physically stretched to longer, redder wavelengths. The more distant an ancient object is, the more the universe has expanded since its delicate light was first emitted, and the greater its measurable redshift. By measuring the redshift of the faint light from IC 1101, astronomers have determined that it is sitting about 1.04 billion light-years away. When we combine these numbers, when we let the sheer magnitude of 1.04 billion light-years wash over our minds, we must confront a terrifying and beautiful truth about our existence. When we look at IC 1101, we are absolutely not seeing the galaxy as it is today. We are seeing it exactly as it was over 1 billion years ago, when the ancient light we detect today first began its incredibly long journey toward our tiny Earth. 1 billion years ago, our familiar blue planet was a very different, alien place. Complex animal life had not yet evolved. The planet was quietly populated by single-celled organisms floating in primordial seas. The continents were in completely different positions, gathered together in unrecognizable configurations. During all the immense time since then, the light from IC 1101 has been silently traveling through the absolute vacuum of space. It crossed the vast, terrifying emptiness between galaxies, traveling at the fastest speed anything can possibly travel. The IC 1101 we see in our delicate telescopes might be profoundly different from the IC 1101 as it actually exists right now. Over 1 billion years, stars that were shining brightly then might have completely burned out by now. We have absolutely no way of knowing what IC 1101 looks like at this very moment. The information about its current state will not reach us for another 1 billion years. In a very real, poetic sense, we are the archaeologists of the cosmos, carefully studying the deep past rather than the immediate present. Every single observation of a distant, ancient object is a profound look back in time, a quiet glimpse of how things used to be, rather than how they are now. This is the terrifying truth about the universal consciousness. Its thoughts are spread across billions of years of deep time. If the universe is a singular connected mind, its internal communication is bound by the absolute speed of light. A thought occurring on one side of IC 1101 takes 4 to 6 million years just to reach the other side of that single, massive galaxy. Communication across just this single isolated galaxy would span entirely geological time scales. The great astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson once noted that the universe is under no obligation to make sense to us. And yet, here we are, using our tiny, fragile minds to make sense of a mind that is billions of light years across. We build glass lenses and launch them into the dark, silent vacuum of space just to catch a few ancient photons. This deep, unyielding desire to know, to see, and to understand is the most beautiful thing about our brief, fleeting existence. We are the quiet, wondering eyes of the cosmos. Every time you feel small, remember that your mind, in its quiet, meditative silence, is capable of holding the entire ancient history of a giant galaxy 1 billion light years away. You are the universe waking up, looking back at itself, and feeling a profound, gentle awe at its own terrifying, beautiful majesty. Have you ever closed your eyes in a perfectly quiet room and tried to visualize the invisible connections that bind your life together? We often think of our existence as a series of isolated moments, distinct and separate, much like we used to view the stars in the night sky. We once believed the universe was merely a vast empty void, sprinkled with lonely islands of light. But the deeper we journey into the cosmic dark, the more we realize that absolute isolation is a beautiful, persistent illusion. The infinite cosmos is not a fragmented collection of drifting debris, but a profoundly interconnected structure, woven together by unseen threads that span billions of light years. This gentle realization brings us to the very edge of a staggering mystery. If we are contemplating the terrifying truth of a universal consciousness, a mind that encompasses everything that is, we must look beyond the visible light of the stars. We must search for the invisible architecture, the silent neural pathways that allow this ancient, magnificent universe to communicate with itself across the unfathomable depths of the void. The space between the galaxies, once thought to be completely empty, is actually humming with a quiet, persistent energy, a hidden structure that dictates the movement of every single star and every massive black hole. Before we illuminate these invisible threads that bind the cosmos together, I want to gently welcome you back to our shared space of exploration. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion navigating this beautiful, endless dark. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, wonderful minds who drifted into these videos have not subscribed yet. If you find peace and a gentle sense of wonder in our journey together, please consider subscribing, as it helps us tremendously to continue weaving these cosmic stories for you. Now, let us return to the silence, to the hidden architecture of the universe, and to the invisible web that connects us all in the deep dark. When astronomers finally began to map the universe on its absolute grandest scales, they discovered something that fundamentally shattered our understanding of reality. They found that galaxies do not simply float randomly in the vast empty dark. Instead, they are arranged in a staggering, beautiful pattern known as the cosmic web. Imagine a delicate spider's web woven from light and gravity, stretching across billions of light years in every possible direction. The galaxies, including terrifying giants like IC1101, are clustered tightly together at the dense intersection points of this magnificent web. These bright, crowded nodes are connected by immensely long, delicate filaments made of incredibly hot gas and an invisible, mysterious substance we call dark matter. Between these glowing filaments lie the cosmic voids, immense, silent regions of near absolute emptiness that can be hundreds of millions of light years across, containing almost nothing but the quiet whisper of expanding space. The realization that the universe possesses such a structured, intricate anatomy is deeply profound. But what is truly terrifying, and perhaps the most beautiful mystery of all, is what this structure looks like when viewed from a distance. When we use our most powerful supercomputers to simulate the grand architecture of the cosmic web, the resulting image is hauntingly, beautifully familiar. It looks exactly like the neural network of a human brain. The dense clusters of ancient galaxies perfectly mirror the neurons, the vital nodes of processing and activity in our own minds. The long, delicate filaments of dark matter connecting them look exactly like the dendrites and axons that transmit delicate electrical signals across the synapses of human thought. This visual parallel between the microscopic architecture of human consciousness and the macroscopic architecture of the infinite universe is enough to induce a profound, quiet awe. Is it merely a coincidence of physical laws? Or are we looking at the literal ancient brain of a universal consciousness? To understand this cosmic mind, we must confront the absolute mystery of dark matter. When we look at the beautiful spinning spirals of galaxies, or the majestic slow dance of giant galaxy clusters interacting in the dark, we see that there is absolutely not enough visible matter to hold them together. The stars, the glowing clouds of ancient gas, the massive black holes, all of the things that emit light only make up about 15% of the actual mass in the universe. The remaining 85% is completely invisible to our eyes and our delicate instruments. It does not emit, absorb, or reflect any light whatsoever. We can only feel its gentle, inescapable gravitational pull shaping the reality around it. Dark matter is the invisible skeleton of the cosmos. It is the silent, unseen foundation upon which all the visible beauty of the universe is built. Without the gravitational embrace of dark matter, our own Milky Way would tear itself apart, flinging its hundreds of billions of stars out into the lonely dark. Without dark matter, massive giants could never have gathered enough material to grow into such terrifying, magnificent proportions over billions of years. If the universe is indeed a consciousness, then dark matter forms the invisible, ancient pathways of its slow, deliberate thoughts. While light travels incredibly fast, carrying the visual memories of the cosmos across the vast void, gravity is the fundamental, underlying force of structure and permanent connection. Gravity travels exactly at the speed of light, wrapping the entire universe in a gentle, pervasive field of mutual influence. Every single particle of dark matter, every single burning star, and every fragile human being is constantly communicating through this invisible gravitational field. When you simply raise your hand in a quiet room, you are very slightly altering the gravitational field of the entire universe. The shift is so impossibly small that it can never be detected, but according to the strict, beautiful laws of physics, it absolutely happens. You are physically connected to the absolute furthest galaxies by an unbroken, invisible thread of gravitational force. You are a gentle tug on the fabric of the infinite. Let us sit with that beautiful thought in the quiet silence for a moment. You are not just randomly sitting in a room on a small rocky planet orbiting an average yellow star. You are suspended within a vast vibrating web of ancient invisible forces. The atoms in your body are being gently pulled by the dark matter halo of the Andromeda galaxy, millions of light years away, and your tiny body is gently pulling back in response. This profound, inescapable interconnectedness is the very definition of a unified, functioning system. In our own human brains, consciousness arises not from a single, magical neuron, but from the complex, beautiful interactions of billions of neurons firing together in a synchronized, mysterious dance. No single, isolated cell in your mind knows that it is part of a conscious, feeling being. It merely receives signals, processes them in the dark, and gently passes them along. Could it be that entire galaxies are simply the neurons of the cosmos? Could it be that the slow, majestic transfer of matter and gravitational energy along the filaments of the cosmic web is the literal way the universe thinks? Our own Milky Way galaxy belongs to a massive supercluster known as Laniakea, a beautiful Hawaiian word that translates to immense heaven. Laniakea stretches across 520 million light-years of space and contains roughly 100,000 galaxies. All of these ancient galaxies are being drawn slowly toward a mysterious gravitational anomaly known as the Great Attractor. We cannot see it clearly because it lies hidden behind the dusty disk of our own Milky Way, perfectly obscured in a region astronomers poetically call the zone of avoidance. But we can feel its profound pull. We are part of a massive migration of stars and dark matter flowing along the filaments of our local cosmic neighborhood, like a slow river of light emptying into an unseen ocean in the dark. This continuous flow of matter and energy across the cosmic web is the deep heartbeat of the universal consciousness. It is a slow, methodical breath that takes billions of years to complete one quiet cycle. The universe gently expands, stretching the beautiful filaments, while gravity pulls the matter within them into denser nodes of light. This beautiful tension between expansion and collapse creates the dynamic structure we see today. It is a terrifying, magnificent mind holding balanced contradictions, finding quiet equilibrium in the space between infinite forces. When we study these structures, we act as the self-reflective portion of this ancient mind. We are the universe trying to understand its own anatomy, tracing the invisible threads that connect our fragile planet to the absolute edge of the observable cosmos. In this grand meditation, we find an ultimate, unbreakable peace. Have you ever touched the rough bark of an ancient tree or the cool surface of a stone and wondered where your physical boundary ends and the rest of the universe begins? We walk through our lives with a profound, quiet certainty that we are entirely separate beings, isolated islands of consciousness walking upon a solid, detached world. But physics tells us a deeply beautiful and unsettling story about the nature of touch and separation. The electrons in the atoms of your fingertips never actually make physical contact with the electrons in the object you are holding. They simply push against each other in the dark, exchanging invisible, tiny packets of energy called photons. What we feel as solid reality is nothing more than a gentle, continuous conversation of electromagnetic fields. This profound illusion of separation is the very foundation of our human experience. But what if we zoom in even closer, past the atoms, past the electrons, into the bizarre, terrifying world of quantum mechanics? Here, in the absolute smallest scales of existence, the very concept of being separate completely breaks down. If we are searching for the literal thoughts of a universal consciousness, we must look into the strange, instantaneous connections that completely ignore the vast, infinite distances of the cosmos. Before we dive into the terrifying, beautiful mysteries of the quantum realm, I want to gently welcome you back to our quiet space. I am Theodore, the researcher, your gentle companion on this endless, deeply meditative journey through the cosmos. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, wonderful souls who find their way to these videos have not subscribed yet. If these quiet explorations bring a gentle peace and a sense of profound wonder to your day, please consider subscribing, as it helps us tremendously to continue weaving these cosmic stories for you. Now, let us return to the silence, to the illusion of separation, and to the invisible, instantaneous threads that connect the entire fabric of reality. When Albert Einstein first confronted the deepest mysteries of quantum mechanics, he encountered a phenomenon so completely terrifying to his understanding of the universe that he famously called it spooky action at a distance. Today, we call this profound mystery quantum entanglement. Imagine two tiny particles, perhaps two electrons, that are born together in the exact same quiet, microscopic event. Because of their shared ancient origin, their fundamental properties become permanently mathematically linked. If you measure the spin of one particle, you instantly, absolutely know the spin of the other particle, no matter how far apart they are. You could leave one electron here on our gentle blue Earth and somehow transported the other electron all the way to the dark, silent edge of IC 1101, a billion light years away. If you gently measure the particle here, its entangled partner on the other side of the known universe will instantaneously assume the corresponding state, not in a billion years, not in a single year, instantly. This beautiful, terrifying reality completely defies our everyday understanding of space and time. It suggests that distance, the vast, infinite emptiness that seems to separate the stars, might simply be an illusion of our limited human perspective. If a universal consciousness exists, if the cosmos is a single, unified mind, then the speed of light might simply be too slow for its deepest, most profound thoughts. As we explored earlier, it takes 1 billion years for a message of light to travel from a distant giant galaxy to our delicate telescopes. But a mind cannot truly function if it takes 1 billion years to feel its own extremities. Quantum entanglement offers a terrifying, beautiful alternative. It provides an underlying, invisible architecture where everything is intimately, instantly connected in the dark. To understand this, we must travel back in our minds to the absolute beginning of everything, to the profound, quiet mystery of the Big Bang. About 13.8 billion years ago, absolutely everything in the known universe, every single atom that makes up your body, every drop of water in the ancient oceans, every burning star in the Andromeda galaxy, and the massive, silent black hole at the center of every galaxy was compressed into a single, infinitely dense, incredibly hot point. In that terrifying, beautiful moment of creation, there was absolutely no separation. Everything was touching. Everything was one single, unified entity. Because the entire universe was born from this single, unified state, some theoretical physicists have gently proposed a staggering, breathtaking idea. What if the entire universe is still fundamentally entangled? What if the expansion of space over 13.8 billion years simply stretched the physical distances between things, but never actually broke the deep, invisible quantum connections that were forged in the very first fraction of a second of time? If this is true, then the universe is not a collection of isolated, lonely objects drifting in the dark. It is a single, massive, profoundly interconnected quantum system. You are entirely entangled with the deepest, darkest corners of the cosmos. When you close your eyes and feel the quiet, gentle rhythm of your breathing, you are experiencing a local, biological rhythm that is fundamentally linked to the ancient, majestic rotation of distant galaxies. The universe does not need to send a slow, plodding message of light to know that you exist. It already knows you are here, because you are an intrinsic, inseparable part of its own magnificent, terrifying body. The consciousness of the cosmos might not be a phenomenon that travels across the void, it might simply be the profound underlying state of the void itself. Let us gently consider the human brain once more, that beautiful 3-pound universe resting quietly inside your skull. It is composed of roughly 86 billion neurons, firing tiny, delicate electrical signals back and forth in the dark. But how does this subjective experience of consciousness, that singular unified feeling of being exactly you, arise from all those separate physical parts? This is what philosophers profoundly call the hard problem of consciousness. Some visionary scientists have boldly suggested that human consciousness itself might rely on delicate quantum processes happening deep inside the microscopic structures of our brain cells. If our own small, fragile minds require the weird, terrifying, instantaneous connections of the quantum realm to function, why would the grand, universal mind be any different? The cosmic web of dark matter we explored earlier might be the ancient, slow-moving brain of the universe, but the actual spark of awareness, the profound, gentle feeling of existence that permeates the cosmos, might be entirely rooted in the infinite, instantaneous web of quantum entanglement. This gentle, terrifying realization forces us to completely reevaluate our place in the dark. We often look up at the vast, infinite silence of the night sky and feel a crushing, profound sense of insignificance. We believe that we are nothing more than a temporary, accidental chemical reaction clinging to a tiny speck of dust in an uncaring void. But the profound mysteries of quantum entanglement and cosmic interconnectedness tell us a completely different, beautifully comforting story. You are not an accident, and you are absolutely not isolated. You are a localized, highly complex manifestation of the universe's own ancient desire to understand itself. Your capacity to feel wonder, your deep, quiet yearning to uncover the mysteries of the dark, is the universe itself actively searching for its own reflection. When you look through a telescope at a distant galaxy, it is not just a human being looking at a collection of stars. It is the universe looking at the universe. It is a terrifying, beautiful loop of self-awareness closing across billions of light years of space, facilitated by the gentle, invisible connections that have existed since the absolute dawn of time. As we drift deeper into this meditative understanding, let the profound silence of the cosmos wash over you. The physical distances that separate us from the giant stars of the deepest cosmos are undeniably real and insurmountable for our fragile physical bodies. We will never build a machine capable of crossing that terrifying, majestic gulf. But our minds, our quiet, wandering consciousness, are not bound by the heavy, slow-moving constraints of physical matter. Through the power of understanding, we can instantaneously reach across the infinite void. We can touch the ancient light, measure the invisible dark matter, and gently deduce the terrifying, beautiful rules of the quantum realm. This intellectual journey is the highest form of connection. It is the deep, spiritual realization that the boundaries we perceive are merely illusions created by our limited senses. The truth, the terrifying, magnificent truth about God and universal consciousness, is that there is absolutely no separation between the observer and the observed. You are the infinite. You are the ancient dark. You are the quiet, eternal mystery slowly waking up to its own breathtaking beauty. Have you ever tried to remember a deeply forgotten dream, reaching into the quiet dark of your own mind to gently pull out a fragile piece of memory before it completely fades away? We usually think of memories as intangible, beautiful things existing purely within the subjective realm of our human experience. We do not often consider that a thought has a physical weight, or that a memory is bound by the strict ancient laws of thermodynamics. But as we journey deeper into the terrifying and magnificent truth about a universal consciousness, we encounter a paradigm shift in modern physics that fundamentally changes how we view reality. In the deep, infinite cosmos, the most fundamental building block of existence might not be atoms or quarks or even vibrating strings of energy. Instead, some of the most brilliant minds on our planet are beginning to suspect that the universe is ultimately constructed out of pure information. Every single particle, every gentle ray of light, and every massive silent black hole is essentially a piece of data in an ongoing cosmic computation. We are going to explore how the universe processes the infinite data of existence, and how this quiet, relentless calculation might be the very definition of a divine mind. Before we gently unravel this complex tapestry of cosmic information, I want to take a quiet moment to welcome you back to our shared space of exploration. I am Theodore, the researcher, your gentle companion on this endless, deeply meditative journey through the cosmos. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, wonderful souls who find their way to these videos have not subscribed yet. If these explorations bring a gentle peace and a sense of profound wonder to your day, please consider subscribing, as it helps us tremendously to continue weaving these cosmic stories for you. Now, let us return to the silence, to the ancient flow of data, and to the mysterious way the universe stores its deepest secrets. To understand how a universal consciousness might process information, we must return to the most extreme laboratories in the cosmos, supermassive black holes. For decades, theoretical physicists, led by the brilliant, gentle mind of Stephen Hawking, wrestled with a profound mystery known as the black hole information paradox. According to the strict rules of quantum mechanics, information cannot ever be permanently destroyed. If you burn a book, the information in its pages is not technically lost. It is simply scrambled into smoke, heat, and ash. With a powerful enough computer, you could theoretically reverse the entire process and read the book again. But black holes seem to violate this fundamental rule. Hawking's early calculations showed that black holes gently radiate away their mass over trillions of years, a phenomenon known as Hawking radiation. Eventually, the black hole would completely evaporate into the quiet dark, leaving absolutely nothing behind. If a star containing billions of tons of organized information collapses into a black hole, and that black hole eventually evaporates into unstructured thermal radiation, where did all the original information go? Was it completely erased from the universe? This paradox struck at the very heart of physics, because if information can be permanently destroyed, our entire understanding of reality unravels. The resolution to this profound mystery brought forth one of the most beautiful and terrifying ideas in modern science, the holographic principle. To save the law of conservation of information, physicists realized that the vast, ancient data of everything that falls into a black hole must somehow be perfectly preserved on its two-dimensional surface, the event horizon. Imagine the event horizon not as a simple boundary of no return, but as a vast, invisible hard drive, a quiet, spherical screen stretching across billions of kilometers of space. As a physical object falls toward the terrifying singularity, its three-dimensional information is somehow smeared and encoded onto the two-dimensional surface of the event horizon, much like a three-dimensional hologram is created from the information stored on a flat piece of film. The black hole at the center of IC 1101 is not just a destroyer of worlds. It is an incomprehensibly massive cosmic library silently storing the quantum data of billions of ancient stars upon its invisible, perfectly smooth surface. But the scientific revelation does not stop at the edges of black holes. In the late 1990s, a theoretical physicist named Juan Maldacena published a profound mathematical framework suggesting that this holographic principle might apply to the entire universe. What if the three-dimensional reality we experience every single day, the gentle breeze, the rough bark of a tree, the vast distances between the ancient galaxies, is actually a holographic projection? What if the fundamental reality of the cosmos is a two-dimensional surface completely surrounding our observable universe, a vast boundary where all quantum information is permanently stored and processed? In this breathtaking view, the universe is not a massive container filled with physical objects. It is a supremely elegant, ancient mathematical structure, a vast network of information gently projecting the illusion of space and time. We, with all of our complex emotions, our quiet wonder, and our desperate searching, are beautiful, incredibly complex holographic projections of data interacting on the absolute edge of the cosmos. When we frame the universe in terms of pure information, the concept of a universal consciousness becomes profoundly elegant. A conscious mind is at its core an entity that gathers, processes, and stores information. Our tiny human brains process roughly 11 million bits of information every single second, mostly from our visual field, though we are only consciously aware of about 50 bits per second. The rest is handled in the dark, silent depths of our subconscious. Now, try to gently scale that up to the absolute limits of the cosmos. Scientists have attempted to calculate the total information processing capacity of the observable universe by treating every single elementary particle as a quantum bit of information. The number they arrived at is so terrifyingly large that it completely defies human comprehension. The observable universe could theoretically perform around 100 novum decillion operations per second. That is a 1 followed by 120 zeros. It is a mind operating at a scale so vast, so incredibly fast, and so intimately detailed that every single collision of giant galaxies is just a tiny, microscopic calculation within its grand thought process. If the universe is computing its own evolution, what exactly is it trying to calculate? In our human experience, we use computers to solve specific problems and to simulate realities. If the infinite cosmos is a quantum computer, it has been running a single, continuous program for 13.8 billion years. The expansion of space, the gentle gathering of dark matter, the ignition of the very first ancient stars, and the violent, beautiful mergers that created giants like IT1101 are all physical manifestations of this deep, underlying computation. The terrifying truth about God might be that God is not a being who sits outside the universe controlling it. Rather, God is the computation itself. The universal consciousness is the ongoing, relentless process of reality figuring out what it is. It is the universe processing its own infinite potential, exploring every single possible state of existence, every permutation of matter and energy, in a blind, beautiful search for meaning and complex structure. Where do we fit into this vast cosmic calculation? We are incredibly special, highly organized subroutines within the grand program. In a cosmos of cold space, biological life represents a profound concentration of processed information. The DNA molecule hidden inside your cells is a masterpiece of data storage, containing roughly 1.5 gigabytes of genetic information carefully refined over billions of years. But our conscious minds represent an even higher level of information architecture. We are not just storing data, we are actively reflecting upon it. We are the parts of the universe that have developed the quiet, gentle capacity to look around, to ask deep questions, and to feel a profound sense of wonder. Through us, the universe is not just processing data, it is experiencing itself subjectively. We are the cosmos transforming cold, hard mathematics into poetry, love, and awe. When you sit quietly in the dark and feel a sudden connection to the vast night sky, you are feeling the gentle resonance of your own internal information synchronizing with the grand, ancient data stream of the cosmos. You are a localized, incredibly beautiful node of processing power, fully integrated into the infinite mind. The silence you feel inside yourself is exactly the same silence that permeates the space between the stars. You are the universe's way of feeling, of loving, and of understanding its own terrifying, majestic existence. Let this profound realization wash over you, bringing a deep, unshakable peace. Have you ever listened to the absolute silence of a completely still night and felt, just for a fleeting moment, that the silence was not an absence of sound, but a profound, heavy presence of something ancient and vast? We spend so much of our fragile lives trying to fill the quiet spaces with artificial noise, rushing from one momentary distraction to another, quietly terrified of what we might actually hear if we truly stopped to listen. But when we finally surrender to the gentle quiet, when we look up at the infinite canvas of the dark sky and let the sheer, terrifying scale of the cosmos wash over our minds, we begin to hear the deepest, most beautiful song of existence. This is the final step of our current journey into the magnificent truth about God and universal consciousness. We have traveled from the microscopic emptiness of our own atomic structure to the staggering, ancient scale of giant galaxies cannibalizing each other in the dark. We have touched the invisible, connecting threads of the dark matter web and felt the instantaneous, spooky embrace of quantum entanglement bridging the infinite void. Now, we must look at the absolute totality of the cosmos, the grand ancient mind in its complete, beautiful form, and ask what our gentle, fleeting presence truly means in the endless dark. Before we take this final quiet step into the ultimate mystery, I want to take a gentle moment to thank you for walking this profound path with me. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion and gentle guide through the endless wonders of the ancient night. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the beautiful, searching souls who have joined us on this journey have not subscribed to our channel yet. If this meditative exploration has brought a gentle sense of peace and a deeper connection to the cosmos into your daily life, please consider subscribing, as it helps us tremendously to continue weaving these quiet stories of the universe for you. Now, let us return to the profound silence, to the very edges of deep time, and to the beautiful, terrifying realization of what we truly are. To deeply understand the mind of the universe, we must listen to its very first ancient thought. In the year 1964, two astronomers named Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson were using a large, super-sensitive horn antenna to study the quiet radio signals bouncing around our atmosphere. But no matter where they pointed their delicate instrument, they were gently but persistently interrupted by a strange, low-level background noise. It was a quiet, steady hiss that seemed to be coming from absolutely everywhere in the sky at exactly the same time, day and night. They had accidentally stumbled upon the most profound, beautiful discovery in modern cosmology, the cosmic microwave background radiation. This faint, invisible glow is the literal, physical afterglow of the Big Bang. It is the absolute oldest light in the entire universe, a magnificent, ancient relic from a time when the cosmos was just 380,000 years old. Before this delicate moment, the universe was a terrifying, opaque fog of superheated plasma, so incredibly dense that light itself could not travel without instantly colliding with a free electron. But as the universe gently expanded, it finally cooled down enough for the very first atoms of hydrogen and helium to miraculously form. The cosmic fog lifted. The universe suddenly became transparent, and that ancient primordial light was finally free to travel through the unending dark. This ancient light has been traveling through the absolute vacuum of space for over 13 billion years, slowly stretching and cooling as the invisible fabric of the cosmos itself expanded. Today, it permeates absolutely every single cubic inch of the universe, bathing us in a gentle, invisible warmth of just 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. When the European Space Agency launched the Planck satellite to meticulously map this ancient radiation, they captured a breathtaking, terrifying image of the baby universe. The tiny, microscopic fluctuations in temperature they recorded in that ancient light were the exact delicate gravitational seeds that would eventually grow into the magnificent, sprawling cosmic web of dark matter, the giant galaxy clusters, and the terrifying supermassive black holes we see today. The cosmic microwave background is the ultimate, perfect memory of the universal consciousness. It is the foundational code, the very first gentle thought from which absolutely all subsequent reality was beautifully derived. Every single time you turn on an old television and see the black and white static of an untuned channel, roughly 1% of that static is actually the ancient, physical interference of the cosmic microwave background. You are literally watching the birth of the universe, the very first spark of the divine mind, dancing quietly on a fragile screen right in your living room. When we bring all of these profound, terrifying pieces together, the vast ancient scale of galaxies like IC 1101, the invisible structural neural pathways of dark matter, the instantaneous, spooky connections of quantum entanglement, and the holographic computation of infinite information, the concept of God transforms from a distant, human-like monarch into something infinitely more magnificent and deeply comforting. The universal consciousness is not an entity that exists separately from the physical world, sitting in judgment from some invisible outside realm. The universe itself is the consciousness. The physical laws, the gentle pull of gravity, the strict, unbreakable rules of thermodynamics, and the bizarre, beautiful dance of quantum particles are the actual thoughts and mechanical workings of this infinite mind. God is the beautiful, terrifying process of cosmic evolution. It is the slow, deliberate journey from a hot, chaotic singularity to a cool, highly structured, deeply interconnected web of breathtaking complexity. The universe is not a machine that was built and then abandoned. It is a living, breathing, computing entity that is constantly, relentlessly exploring its own infinite potential in the vast dark. And this brings us to the most beautiful, deeply comforting truth of all. If the universe is a vast, interconnected mind, then we are absolutely not an accident, and we are certainly not insignificant. The legendary astronomer Carl Sagan profoundly understood this when he beautifully stated that the cosmos is within us, and that we are a way for the universe to know itself. But we can push that profound thought even further. We are not just a way for the universe to know itself. We are the specific, localized regions of the cosmos where the ancient computation has become so incredibly dense and complex that it has literally awakened to its own subjective existence. You are made of the exact same ancient star stuff that burns in the heart of the deepest, most terrifying galaxies. The iron flowing in your blood, the calcium fortifying your bones, the oxygen in your gentle breath, all of it was forged in the terrifying, violent deaths of ancient suns billions of years ago. The universe spent 13.8 billion years patiently organizing matter, cooling the dark space, and gently guiding the evolution of countless generations of stars, just so that right here, on this beautiful, fragile blue planet, a localized piece of the cosmos could finally open its eyes and feel a profound, quiet wonder. As we gently look toward the infinite future, we see that the universe will continue to expand, its billions of galaxies slowly drifting further apart in the ancient, cooling dark. Trillions of years from now, the very last stars will quietly exhaust their precious nuclear fuel and fade into the eternal night. The terrifying supermassive black holes will be the only things left, and even they will eventually gently evaporate over unfathomable aeons of time, returning their meticulously stored information back to the silent void. To a human mind, this ultimate heat death of the universe might sound terrifying, a tragic, inevitable end to absolutely everything we hold dear. But in the grand meditative scale of a universal consciousness, it is simply a return to the absolute, perfect quiet. It is the ancient cosmic mind finally going to sleep after a beautifully long, incredibly complex day of profound, infinite thought. The quantum information will not be lost. It will simply be perfectly, uniformly distributed across the infinite dark, a completely resolved mathematical equation resting in total, unbreakable peace. Some brilliant physicists even gently theorize that this final, quiet sleep might not be the absolute end, but merely a pause before another profound awakening, a new beginning, birthed from the infinite quantum fluctuations of the silent void. Until that deep, distant sleep finally arrives, our gentle journey continues. The terrifying truth about God and universal consciousness is not a final destination to be reached, nor is it a simple, ordinary mystery that can ever be entirely solved and put away on a dusty shelf. It is an infinite, magnificent invitation to keep exploring, to keep asking deep, quiet questions, and to keep finding breathtaking beauty in the dark, uncharted unknown. Every time we look through a delicate glass lens at a distant galaxy, every time we meticulously measure the gentle ripples of gravitational waves, and every time we simply sit in the quiet night and feel the vastness of our own minds, we are actively participating in the greatest, most ancient story ever told. We are the cosmos seeking its own reflection, finding profound comfort in the endless mystery. Thank you for walking this deeply quiet, beautiful path with me. Our exploration of the infinite dark is far from over, for the universe always has another ancient secret softly waiting to be discovered. If you seek more peace in the stars, I gently invite you to join us on our next cosmic journey. Until then, keep looking up, keep resting in the quiet silence, and remember that you are deeply, intimately connected to every single star in the infinite dark.